when you look at North Africa these days, the whole security picture, it feels like it's really shifting, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The dynamics are, well, they're evolving fast. And Morocco's relationship with France and NATO, specifically the military side, is a really key part of that story.
Okay, so let's dive into that because that's our focus today.
Yeah.
Morocco strengthening those military ties. We've got reports on joint exercises, specific agreements, high-level talks.
Boy, loads of detail.
So our mission here is to connect those dots, understand why this is happening now, what it actually looks like on the ground, and, what it might mean for the region and for Morocco itself.
Exactly. It's about getting past the headlines. What are the drivers? What are the implications?
Let's start with France. There's this talk of a revival in military cooperation. How much did France's 2021 recognition of Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara play into this? Was that the trigger?
It seems to have been a major factor, yeah. That diplomatic move, it sort of cleared the air, built trust, and that definitely seems to have opened the door for closer defense ties. It provided a, shall we say, a stronger foundation.
And we've seen concrete examples since then, like those big naval exercises in April 2024. That wasn't just symbolic, was it?
No, definitely not. You had the Moroccan frigate Mohammed VI, which is a pretty advanced ship, operating alongside the French carrier group led by the Charles de Gaulle. That's significant power projection. An aeronaval group, a carrier strike group, essentially.
Wow, yeah. Serious stuff. And didn't a Marine report the Moroccan frigate docking in too long after that, April 24th?
It did, which hints at potentially closer logistical links, maybe even shared maintenance, things like that, practical cooperation.
And wasn't Portugal involved too, with a frigate?
Yes, the Don Francisco de Almeida. So it wasn't purely bilateral. It had that multinational element suggesting broader European interest.
Interesting. So when they do these exercises, what's the main goal, beyond just showing presence?
Interoperability is the big word, making sure different forces can work together smoothly. Shared communications, tactics, command structures.
Got it. So they can actually operate together if needed.
Precisely. And these exercises are where you practice and refine that.
Which makes that 2020 deal Adelaire reported even more interesting. Morocco supplying 36 Sherpa military vehicles to France. That flips the usual script.
It really does. It says something about Morocco's own defense industry capabilities, doesn't it? That they can supply a major power like France.
Yeah.
It suggests less of a simple buyer-seller relationship and more of a partnership involving mutual capabilities. Maybe shared training on those vehicles, too.
So wrapping up the French connection for a moment, the main aims are better interoperability, training, tech exchange.
Correct. And positioning Morocco as a key EU ally against regional threats.
Yeah.
Terrorism, arms trafficking, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now shifting gears to NATO. Morocco's been in the Mediterranean dialogue since '95, but the U.S. designating them a major non-NATO ally in 2004, that feels like a big step up. What does that actually do?
It's quite significant. That status, as the U.S. State Department describes it, it basically unlocks a higher level of military cooperation.
How so?
Easier access to advanced U.S. military gear, possibilities for joint R&D, deeper strategic talks. It formalizes a closer defense relationship short of full membership.
I see. So it's a privileged partnership. And that context makes Admiral Rob Bauer's visit in April 2024, the NATO Military Committee chair, seem pretty important.
Absolutely. His meetings in Rabat with top defense officials like Laudi and Major General Barrett. NATO reporting indicates they discussed the alliance's security strategy and, crucially, its sullen partnerships.
Meaning Morocco is central to NATO's thinking about security in this whole region.
That's the clear implication, yes.
And then there's African Lion. That exercise sounds massive. 2024 marked 20 years of U.S.-Moroccan collaboration on it.
It's one of the biggest exercises of its kind. The U.S. Army noted over 27 nations participating in 2024.
27, wow.
Yeah, the scale is huge. And the focus, again, is very much on interoperability, getting all these different forces to work together effectively against shared threats.
And it happens across multiple countries, right? Not just Morocco, tackling things like terrorism, piracy.
Exactly. It spans locations in Morocco, Ghana, Senegal, Tunisia, and addresses those very real transnational threats that affect the whole region. Morocco hosting and participating really cements its role.
As a facilitator of international cooperation on security.
Precisely. A key anchor for stability.
So taking all this together, the French ties, the NATO links X, Morocco's really positioning itself as a central player. A linchpin, some reports say, for Mediterranean and Sahel security.
That description fits. Its location is obviously strategic, and these partnerships are actively boosting the capabilities of the Royal Armed Forces, the FAR.
How specifically?
Well, access to modern tech, advanced training methods, it all enhances their ability to tackle those transnational threats we mentioned: terrorism, migration management, general instability.
And things like the joint naval exercises or that Sherpa deal, they have direct practical benefits.
Oh, definitely. The naval exercises improve maritime security capabilities, protecting coastlines, projecting power if needed. The Sherpa deal boosts logistical readiness, absolutely fundamental for any effective military operation.
Okay. But there's always another side, isn't there? The reports mention concerns about Morocco losing some strategic autonomy by getting so close to France and NATO.
Yes, that's the potential downside. The argument is that aligning too closely with Western interests might limit Morocco's own foreign policy flexibility.
And potentially increase friction with neighbors, like Algeria, given the Western Sahara situation.
That's certainly part of the concern raised by some observers. It's a classic balancing act. How do you gain the benefits of alliances without compromising your independence or exacerbating regional tensions?
And this isn't just an external issue. What about inside Morocco? Are people there all on board with this direction?
Well, like any major policy shift, there are different perspectives. You see discussions, for instance, on platforms like X, reflecting this.
What are the main lines of thought?
On one hand, many see these partnerships as vital for national security, for getting access to technology, better training, maybe even economic spin-offs.
Makes sense.
On the other hand, you have voices worrying about overdependence, about Morocco's foreign policy potentially being swayed too much by its allies, concerns about sovereignty.
And what about the cost? Modernizing the military, joining these big exercises that costs money.
A lot of money.
Ah.
And that inevitably sparks debate about national priorities. Is the defense spending balanced against pressing needs in, say, education or healthcare?
Right. Resource allocation.
It's a crucial part of the domestic conversation. Maintaining public support means navigating those trade-offs carefully.
So looking ahead, what's the likely path? Continued deepening of these ties.
The trend certainly points that way. We might see more complex joint training, maybe joint development of technology, perhaps Morocco taking part in more NATO-led missions.
But it depends on
Continued funding, obviously, how well regional rivalries are managed, and crucially, addressing those domestic concerns about autonomy and resources.
Still, the overall feeling is that Morocco's importance as a strategic partner for France and NATO is likely to grow, especially as they focus on North African stability.
I think that's fair to say. Morocco offers that combination of location, capability, and willingness to engage on security issues in a really critical region.
Okay, so to sum up this deep dive, Morocco's military connections with France and NATO are getting deeper, driven by shared security needs, enhancing Moroccan capabilities.
Definitely. And those specific examples, the Charles de Gaulle exercise, the Sherpa deal, Admiral Bauer's visit, African Lion scale, they aren't just anecdotes. They show a real, substantial strategic shift.
But it also raises questions about strategic independence, regional dynamics, and domestic priorities.
Exactly. It's complex, multi-layered.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. How does Morocco thread that needle, balancing these powerful international partnerships with its own national interests and tricky regional politics? And what does this growing cooperation really signal for the future of security across North Africa and the Mediterranean? Something to mull over.